देख कोई जरूर घुसे क्या जा तुम
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So yesterday
Yes,
we discussed about the we have discussed about the Sudan type of climate. Am I right? So today we will be discussing about the desert type of climate between 10 to 30 degree latitude in the western margin of the continent, right? So have you all read yesterday's newspaper? Yesterday's topics. I've asked you to read chapter number 15, 16, and 17. That is equatorial type of climate, then monsoon type of climate, and Sudan type of climate. So have you all read the topics which I've asked you to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any doubts about these three types of climate? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody just quickly revise what are the three different types of climates? Yes, Anand, can you explain me the differences between three equatorial type of climate, monsoon type of climate, and Sudan type of climate?
If, uh,
Just brief. I don't want to explain in detail. Just explain me major differences between these three types of climates. Am I audible?
and it has a three types of climate: cool and dry, hot and dry, and rainy season.
Okay.
In Sudan type of climate, there
Yes, Anand, continue. I can hear you.
yes, in Sudan type of climate, there is there is in middle zone in 10 to 30 degree, and it has mm, cool and dry. Uh, Two climates: cool and dry season, and hot and dry. In the
Okay.
cool and dry,
Okay. What is the major difference between monsoon type of climate and Sudan type of climate? What is the difference in amount of rainfall as well as the
sir,
type of vegetation?
yes, sir, in monsoon type of climate, the rainfall is more than the Sudan type of climate. Almost in monsoon type of climate, almost 18, and in Sudan type of climate, there is vary up to 30 inch of rainfall. And there are difference in vegetations also. In monsoon type of climate, there is the deciduous types of trees as shading in cool and dry seasons, and it has some vegetations as sugar cane, coffee, teas.
Okay, fine. So I will just give a quick revision about the equatorial type of climate, monsoon type of climate, and Sudan type of climate. Equatorial type of climate is found between 0 to 10 degree latitude, and it has a climate that is every day there is rainfall and every day the temperature is very high. Here we have evergreen forest, and the economic development of the human development is not good because of such humid condition and because of very heavy rainfall. In monsoon type of climate, three seasons are there: rainy season, winter season, and summer season. And because of the three seasons, agriculture is well developed in monsoon type of climate. And the type of vegetation which is found in the monsoon type of climate is called as deciduous forest, where the forest shed their leaves during the dry season. While in Sudan type of climate, which is located between 10 to 30 degree latitude in the middle of the continent, the amount of rainfall is less. Why the amount of rainfall is less? Because we know that as we move from land towards what we consider in the middle of the continent, the amount of rainfall decreases. So that is the why Here the amount of rainfall is what you can say less compared to the monsoon type, and that is why here we have Sudan type of grasslands or savanna grasslands where there are large grasses or what you can say the tall grasses, and trees are also available in between. So that is called as Sudan type of climate or savanna grasslands. So today we are going to discuss the next type of climate that is located between 10 to 30-degree latitude on the western margin of the continent. Right, so this is called as hot zone
So there is
between 10 to 30-degree latitude, western continent of the world. Just Anand, any doubts?
yes, sir. Sir,
मेरी
in
आवाज
Sudan
clear आ रही
type
है
of
सबको?
climate there are two terms. Yes, sir. In Sudan type of climate there are two terms. One is leaching and one is lateritic soil. Please define this.
Okay, lateritic soil and
Leaching.
leaching. Yeah, here it is mentioned, right? So here you can see that farming in savanna land is not without natural habitats. Droughts may be long and drying as rainfall is often unreliable. So obviously the amount of rainfall is very less in this type of region. Unless countermeasures can be taken in the form of adequate provisions for irrigation, improved crop varieties and scientific farming techniques suitable for the tropical grasslands, crop failures can be disastrous for the people who have very little to fall back on. So Sudan type of climate with distinct wet and dry periods is also responsible for the rapid deterioration of the soil fertility. So what has happened? Leaching means what? Whenever there is a rainfall, the whatever the elements or whatever the minerals are available in the soil, they are washed away and they are percolated down. So during the rainy season, the torrential downpours of heavy rain causing leaching. Leaching means what? The upper material of the soil, upper minerals of the soils are mixed with the water and they are leached away. They are poured down, like they mix with the water and they go down in the interior, and that is why in which most of the plant nutrients such as nitrates, phosphates, and potash, which are very essential for the growth of the crop, are dissolved and washed out. So leaching means what? Leaching means where most of the plant nutrients and such as nitrates and phosphates and potash are dissolved and washed away, and that is what is called as leaching. And again, during the dry season, intense heating and evaporation dry up most of the water. Many savanna areas therefore have poor lateritic soil which are incapable of supporting the crop. So lateritic soil means what? These lateritic soils lack these what you can say the nutrient, that is nitrates, phosphates, and potash. Because of the leaching, these are washed away. So these are called as lateritic soils which are incapable of supporting the good crops, and that is the reason why there is no agriculture is well developed in the savanna region. Got it, Anand? Hello? Am I
Yes,
audible
sir.
to you?
Yes, sir.
Check. Is it clear what is leaching and what is lateritic soil? So leaching leads to formation of lateritic soil. Leaching means dissolution of nitrates, phosphates, and potash, and washing away. Washing away means they move from that region and they in fact go down to the interior of the earth, and that is why these types of soils are not suitable for agriculture, or these are not suitable for what you can say the good crops. Fine. Check
Sir,
it.
in this there is only nitrates, potash, and sulfates only, or other chemicals also?
Yeah, other nutrients can also be what you can say washed, dissolved, and washed. Others also, but these three, nitrates, phosphorus, and potash, are essential nutrients required for the growth of the plant.
Okay.
Okay. Now going to the next type of climate, that is called as desert type of climate. Now desert type of climates are found between 10 to 30-degree latitude in the western margin of the continent. Now here you can see all the deserts or the large deserts of the world, they are located between 10 to 30-degree latitude in the western margin of the continent. Now here you can see Sahara deserts which are found in the western margin of Africa, then Saudi Arabia which are found in the western margin of Asia, then Californian desert which is found in the western margin of North America, then Atacama deserts which is found in the western margin of South America, then Namib and Kalahari deserts which is in the South Africa, that which is again western margin of the South Hemisphere. Then in Australia, western margin of Australia, here we have Great Australian Desert. So all major deserts in the world, they are located on the western margin of the continent between 10 to 30 degree latitudes. So you need to understand why the deserts are located in the western margin of the continent between 10 to 30 degree of latitude, that you need to study. So deserts are regions of scanty rainfall. Like desert means what? Can anybody tell me what we call it as a desert? To which type of climate or which region we normally call it as a desert? Yes, Daya?
There is no water.
Yeah. So the desert means what? Where is due to the scarcity of the water and due to what you can say high temperature in the summer and very low temperature in the what you can say in the winter, that leads to what you can say a very dry region, right? So these dry regions are found in these what you can say the zone. So the important reason is that as we see that as we move from what you can say eastern margin to middle and middle to the western margin, then the amount of rainfall releases again. This is the zone where there is a subsidence of the air in the planetary wind system. All of you remember the planetary wind system? सबको याद है planetary wind system, where the wind blows from subtropical high pressure region to equatorial low pressure region, right? So here you can see, I'll go to the, I will go to this region. Now, can you see this planetary wind system? Can you all see the picture? Equatorial low and subtropical high.
Yes.
So here you can see the winds are moving from subtropical high to equatorial low, which moves upwards, and again there is a descendance of air here, right? So this is the zone where there is a descendance of the air. ऊपर से हवा नीचे आती है. यहाँ पर अगर आप देखोगे, the wind blows at the surface. The wind is blowing from subtropical high to equatorial low, and यहाँ से ये they both converge and they moves upwards. There is ascendance of the air. And because of this ascendance, every day there is ascendance, there is everyday rainfall in the equatorial region. But as the winds moves towards the right and when it moves down, मतलब ये जो region है subtropical high pressure वाला between 10 to 30 degree latitude, यहाँ पर हवाएं क्या होती है नीचे आती है. There is descendance of the air both in north hemisphere and in the south hemisphere. So as we have discussed that the descendance of the air is suitable for rainfall or it is not suitable for the rainfall. If the wind is moving from which is coming from upper layer to the lower layer, it leads to rainfall or it does not lead to the rainfall. Do you remember? So here what happens? Here the wind, what you can say, which is coming from equatorial low to what you can say the subtropical high. The wind, the subsidence is there. So the wind is coming from upper layer to lower layer, and that is why, as we have seen, that as the wind comes from the high altitude to low altitude, there is a descendance of the air, and that descendance of the air is not favorable for the rainfall. समझ में आ गया? So that is the reason why there is less rainfall or scanty rainfall between 10 to 30 degree latitude in the western margin of the continent. So the rainfall is below what you can say the 50 centimeter in this zone. Right? So you understood why the rainfall, there is no favorable condition for the rainfall in the 10 to 30 degree latitude in the western margin of the continents. Is it clear to all of you or still not clear? समझ में आ गया कि यहाँ पर बारिश क्यों नहीं होती है, कम बारिश होती है इस रीजन में? आनंद, is it clear? Hello? Sarvana Kadalaka, why there is no rainfall in this region?
Yes,
this is the zone where there is descendance of the air which is ascended at the equatorial region. So the air ascends at the equatorial region and afterwards it descends in these what you can say between 10 to 30 degree latitude. And since the air descends, मतलब ऊपर से जब हवा नीचे आती है, तो that is not favorable for the rainfall. because हमने देखा था कि जैसे नीचे आएगी तो उसकी relative humidity क्या हो जाती है? Relative humidity बढ़ जाती है, and that doesn't lead to what you can say the rainfall here. That is what is explained here. So here you can see that in the right hand side there are two graphs. That here you can see that during the winter the temperature is very low and during the summer the temperature is very high. So one of the important characteristics of the desert type of climate is that very high temperature during the summer and very low temperature during the winter, right? So because of this very high temperature during the summer and very low temperature during the winter, and also there is very high diurnal range of temperature. Now there are two types of range of temperature. One is annual range of temperature and another is called as diurnal range of temperature. Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of diurnal range of temperature? किसी को पता है? What is the meaning of diurnal range of temperature? Yes, Daya, do you know what is the meaning of diurnal range of temperature?
No, sir.
Diurnal range of temperature मतलब क्या? पूरे दिन का ज्यादा से ज्यादा टेम्परेचर और कम से कम टेम्परेचर इन अ डे. एंड एनुअल रेंज ऑफ टेम्परेचर मतलब क्या? पूरे साल भर का हाईएस्ट टेम्परेचर और पूरे साल भर का लोवेस्ट टेम्परेचर. इसमें डायर्नल रेंज ऑफ टेम्परेचर में मॉनसून टाइम में हमने देखा था कि देयर इज हाई डिफरेंस, बट हियर इन डेजर्ट टाइप ऑफ क्लाइमेट इन डायर्नल रेंज मींस कॉल्ड कि मैक्सिमम टेम्परेचर ऑफ द डे and minimum temperature of the day there is high range. So the temperature can reach up to 10 degree, that is below, and high, that is around 44 degree in a day. So that high diurnal range of temperature leads to what we can say breaking down of the earth surface, and that breaking down of the earth surface leads to formation of sands. So there is contraction, expansion, contraction and expansion. When the temperature increases there is expansion, when there is temperature decreases there is contraction of the rocks, and that leads to formation of what you can say the sand particles, and that sand particles are blown from one region to another region due to the impact of what you can say the winds, right? So understood why the sands are available in the desert. Sands are there because of the high diurnal range of temperature. Then obviously because of very low temperature, very high diurnal range of temperature, this region is not suitable for the human habitation, or this region is not suitable for what I can say the settlement of the people. So that's why we can see that in this region a very scarce population is there. Scarce population म्हणजे काय कि इथे लोक वस्ती खूप विरळ आहे, राइट? यहाँ पर population density उतनी ज्यादा नहीं होती है because of very low temperature, because of very कैसे the high temperature during the day and high temperature during the night, so low temperature during the night. So very harsh condition for human habitation, and that is why here very few people resides and the human population is very scarce. And again the people who live in this zone, they are very what you can say the tough people. Obviously the tough climate makes them a tough people, and here we have the nomadic tribes, right? In this equation you can see in Sahara we have Bedouin tribes who are living here. And here you can see in the northern hemisphere there are again there are yellow zones which have been shown in the map. These yellow zones are actually cold deserts. In south hemisphere also there is one cold desert in South America which is called as Patagonia, and in north hemisphere there are two cold deserts. One is called as Turkestan and another is called as Gobi Desert, which is located in Mongol. So here in Mongol we have Tartars. We have what you can say Tartars. Tartars means what? The Genghis Khan belonged to these Tartars, and these Tartars are very what you can say the cold-hearted people, or very what we can say they are very tough people, right? And because the climate makes them tough, and that is why we can see that here the people who live, they do not practice agriculture, or they do not practice what you can say the nomadic herding, because there is no grass available for the pastoralism also. So maximum people who are living in this area, they were either what you can say the tradesmen, that maximum people of Saudi Arabia or the North African people, they used to what you can say engaged in trading activities. Trading activities means what? They used to procure some material from India, and they used to procure it. They used to come with the help of the winds. Like we have seen that in this zone there is reversal of the wind, right? The wind, sometimes wind is blowing from east to west, and from some time the wind is blowing from west to east. So they used to use these trade winds. We have already seen they used to use these trade winds, and they used to procure material from India. They used to take it from the ship to Africa, and from Africa to again Europe. So maximum population in the Saudi Arabia as well as in North America, they were the tradesmen, and they were called as Bedouin tribes. So these Bedouin tribes used to go in caravan. Caravan means what? They used to travel in groups. Like this is a very vast desert, and they used to go in groups because there were chances of looting, there were chances of what you can say the robberies. So to avoid the robberies, these Bedouin tribes used to go what you can say used to go in groups, and that is what is called as the caravans, right? So that is what is explained here. So obviously this very low temperature leads to what you can say vegetation. The type of vegetation which is available in the desert type of climate is that here we have xerophytic plants. Do you know what is the meaning of xerophytic plants? Xerophytic plants means where the plants have been adapted themselves, where the leaves are converted into thorns, or acacia or cactus. Such type of plants are found in these types of what you can say the vegetation. So now here you can see that in the what you can see in the desert type of climate, the vegetation type is what you can say the xerophytic, or what you can say the thorny plants, or thorny, and what you can say the thorny what you can say the vegetations are found here, right? Because of the very low rainfall. Got it? Any doubts? यहां तक समझ में आ गया? All of you understood?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है? So obviously
Yes, sir.
यहाँ पर agriculture is also not possible, lumbering is also not possible, as well as what you can say the pastoralism is also not possible. Then obviously equatorial type of climate में क्या है? Equatorial type of climate में there is some amount of what you can say the natural fruits are available, but यहाँ पर वो भी available नहीं है. But in some areas they do have oasis. किसी को पता what is the meaning of oasis? कभी सुना है oasis means what? Have you ever heard about the term oasis? Now here it is mentioned the nomadic herdsman. Obviously the important what you can say the animal which is found in this type of climate is called camel, as well as what you can say sheep, or what you can say the goats, are what you can say grown by the people here. So because these two camels can survive in such a harsh condition, so sheep as well as goats as well as camels what you can say are grown by the people who are living in this zone, right? Saudi Arabia or Northern America. So these are the caravan traders which use camels, as well as what you can say the camel, which is also called as sheep of the desert. Then there are certain settled cultivators, like in some areas there are some what you can say the oasis. Oasis matlab kya? A source of water in the desert, and that source of water in the desert is because of the aquifers which are created in the desert. Aquifers means what? Now I can show you what are called as aquifers, which is shown here. Let me show. They are not shown here. What are aquifers? Okay, 1 second. I will show you how the aquifers works. Give me a minute. I will show you the image of aquifers. Okay, can you all see the screen? Is it visible to all of you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here you can see this is called aquifers. This is a diagram of aquifers, how the aquifer works. As you can see here.
अन्य खाली चलो ना
Okay, can you please mute yourself?
तो ये इसका वीडियो चालू करो दिखो
I will show you the desert aquifers. This is a normal aquifer. In desert also, in certain areas, there is a source of water which is called as oasis. Have you ever heard about Zamzam water in Mecca? कभी आपने Zamzam water of Mecca सुना है?
Yes.
So that is the best example of aquifer, and the city of what you can say the city of Mecca is settled around the aquifer of Zamzam. तो ये कैसे बनता है?
Sir, means river.
ये कैसे बनता है मैं बताता हूँ आपको. There's no good picture here. Okay, let's take the example of the second pair. Okay, right hand side there is one what you can see picture here. Here we can see that it is actually a desert. But what happens is some of the water is percolated down, and this water what is can say this is what you can say this can come out by the pressure of the water, which is what you can see coming from the right hand side. Now here you can see this is one picture which is shown is an aquifer. So you can see from the mountain there is rainfall and the water is percolated down. It goes down underground, and wherever there is what you can see the area, whenever there is what you can see the this water is comes upwards, then this leads to formation of what you can see the oasis. What it's oasis means what? Ki water source in the desert is called as oasis, and in this oasis there is what we can say some type of what you can say the agricultural practices are observed here. So that is what is mentioned here. And you can see that in a desert type people they do some settled agriculture, but obviously the crops which are grown this agriculture are not wheat, rice, sugarcane, something. Here maximum you can say that date plants are cultivated here. Date palm, you know all of you. Date palms is what? खजूर के पेड़ यहाँ पर बड़े पैमाने पे क्या किए जाते हैं, यहाँ पर ग्रो किए जाते हैं. But in last few years in desert type of climate we can see that crude oil has become one of the important what we can say the discovery in last few years. That you can see in recent years the discovery of the oil, that is crude oil, in many parts of the Sahara and Arabian deserts has transformed this forgotten part of the globe. In Algeria, oil wells have been sunk 2 miles deep to the topsoil. In the Middle East, pipeline over 1,000 miles long have been laid to bring oil from shores of the Persian Gulf across Saudi Arabia to Saida and Banias and Mediterranean coast. So with still half of the world's reserves of the oil untapped in this region, the deserts here will virtually be paved with gold. In Iraq, Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, the desert landscape is fast changing. So that is what is explained here. So in last few years, the desert type of climate, due to the discovery of the crude oil, the economic development is increasing. That obviously economic development means obviously they are getting some money, and because of that there are many buildings have been built. There are many what you can say the economic activities are carrying on in the Saudi Arabia in certain region, but not Africa. It's still what we can say this underdeveloped economy, right? So that's what you need to remember about the desert type of climate. So what are the important features of the desert type of climate? That in desert type of climate is located between 10 to 30 degree latitude and on the western margin of the continents, and all major what we can say the deserts are located in the western margin of the continents between 10 to 30 degree latitudes. There are two types of deserts. One is called as hot desert and another is called as cold deserts. Cold deserts are located in North Hemisphere, that is in Mongolia and in Turkestan, while in South America it is found in Patagonia. So these are cold deserts because temperature is very low, and these are hot deserts because temperature is very high during the summer. So the reason for being desertness is either too high temperature or too low temperature. So the Gobi deserts and Turkestan deserts and the Patagonia deserts, these are because of the low temperature, and that is why they are called as the cold deserts. So one more thing which you need to remember about the Mediterranean desert type of climate is that there is very high diurnal range of temperature. Very diurnal range of temperature means what? Here you can see that the maximum temperature of the day and the minimum temperature of the day is the range between these days is very high, and because of this a very harsh condition for the settlement of the human being, and that is the reason here the vegetation which is found in the desert type of climate is the thorny vegetation, xerophytic vegetation, which tries to what we can say reduce the rate of transpiration by converting leaves into thorns. And the people who live in this region, they are practicing the sheep herding or camel herding, or they practice the trading activities, and also these people are what we can say lives in nomadic tribes. So that's what you need to remember about the desert type of climate, and you need to know why less favorable condition for the rainfall in the desert type of climate, because this zone lies in the air subsidence zone of subtropical high pressure belt, where the air subsides from high altitude to low altitude, and since the winds is coming from high altitude to low altitude region, less favorable conditions are there for the rainfall in this zone. So this is all about the desert type of climate. Tomorrow we will be discussing about the next type of climate, that is called as Mediterranean type of climate. Now moving on to the next level, that I will come to this zone. Here you can see that next type of zone, that is temperate zone between 30 to 45 degree latitude. Here we have three types of climate: Mediterranean type of climate on the western margin, then China type of climate in the eastern margin, and steppe type of climate in the middle of the continent. So tomorrow we will be discussing about the Mediterranean type of the climate. Fine. Any doubts for today's session? Am I audible to all of you?
No, sir.
Okay. So you will read this
Yes.
chapter once again in detail. You read this topic, that is desert type of climate. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the tomorrow's class. But I want all of you to read this chapter. It's a very interesting what you can say topic, that is desert type of climate. It's a very easy book. In lucid language, it has been explained. Even if you don't understand, you can ask me in the tomorrow's class. Fine?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt?
No.
Yes, Anand.
No.
हाँ बोलिए सर ठीक है चलिए so we'll stop it here today. Probably at 7:30 we will have a newspaper discussion for today's newspaper.
Okay.